Okay, so we're here with Jack Griffiths, founder of Snuggy. So this is the first in our Northeast Entrepreneur Series. Firstly, pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to meet with. What we're going to do first is we need to just tell the audience what exactly Snuggy is, first of all, just for people who have never heard of it. So how would you describe Snuggy?
Snuggy's a loungewear company based in the heart of the Northeast, just out of Teesside. Formed 3 years ago. We sell really cosy luxury products online that make you feel really nice at home.
Yeah, so before we take a deep dive into that a little bit more then, so where did it all start? So if we just go back to your childhood a little bit, it sounds a little bit like therapy.
Yeah,
if you go back to your childhood, how was your childhood?
Yeah, it was perfect really. It's no complaints at all. I think I never really, in my family tree there's no one really business orientated. So like, my mum's a carer, my dad works in transport. There's no one really on the sort of business side of my family, so I'm not 100% sure where I fell into this bracket, but I am. I know sort of how I became to enjoy it, but really good childhood. I was a bit of a, I don't know, it wasn't a naughty kid. I was in the naughty group. I wasn't the naughty kid, but I was the one who got away with everything, but in that sort of group. So I didn't do too well in school or anything like that. But my childhood was great. I have no complaints about it.
Yeah, and we're here kind of near Stockton area. So is this where you grew up, and how was it like growing up around here as well?
Yeah, Billingham is born and bred. That's where I've always lived until about 2 years ago. Billingham's my hometown. I love it here. So yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned your mum and dad weren't from a business background or anything like that. So what do you think shaped you in terms of your childhood into wanting to set businesses up?
Well, when I was in school, I think it was in year 7 or 8, you'd go into the cafeteria at lunchtime as normal, and there'd always be things in the cafe that people wanted that weren't available. For example, like bags of crisps, sweets and things like that. And the amount of my friends that used to complain about what was on offer, and then it just, for some reason, I was that guy to think, I'll be the guy to offer that. Yeah. Every school's got them. Every year group's got one. That little del boy of the playground who sort of as evolves to sort of bring something in the backpack. And I don't recommend it, but that's sort of where I feel like I was shaped into finding out how to earn money. It's just one of the things that I thought, like, right, instead of spending my dinner money on dinner, I'll go and spend 3 or 4 quid on some crisps, and I'll be able to flip it for 7 or 8 quid, and I'll just double my money in sort of 25 minutes work.
Did you go to college, university? What kind of did you get up to? What sort of standard did you get up to?
Yeah, I went. So I left school obviously with pretty below average grades and with no idea where I wanted to go, and it was one of them last minute things where I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to go and learn.
I think a lot of people will identify with that. A lot of people being that, yeah.
Yeah, and then it just sort of got like a ticking time bomb where I was like, I need to make a decision here. Like I've not got any sort of plan, so I took a punt and sort of went with what my friends went with and done ICT. And after a year, I wasn't really enjoying it, and I ended up calling it a day on that, which isn't the best thing to do because obviously you lose out on your grades and your qualifications and stuff. But that's when the second year I went to a completely different college, tried a completely different thing, done fitness coaching, personal training, and I had the same sort of journey. Like I didn't really enjoy it. I was just sort of doing it for the sake of going to college, and because everyone expects you to go to college when you leave school and do something like that. So yeah, I failed that and sort of pulled the plug on that, and that's when I sort of took a little bit of a punt on where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, and sort of just started enjoying my life a little bit more.
Yeah, so did you have a lot of jobs and stuff like that before you started Snuggy, or did you pretty much just, I'm not getting anywhere, I need to just jump into it and chuck it in?
Yeah, I did have a couple of jobs. So I had a short stint at Domino's on the production line, putting the cheese on the pizzas. So I had a little stint there, and then I worked in a call centre for about a year and a half, something like that. Just outbound calls, trying to get surveys of people, nothing really of relevance to business or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people identify maybe struggle in school, aren't interested in school. Every kid, school's boring and stuff. There's going to be a large percentage of that. And then a lot of people who are working 9 to 5s don't like it or whatever. That was the motivation. Then it was just a case of, I'm just going to do it now. And if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Is that kind of, yeah?
Yeah, when I left college, I think when you go through school and stuff, you sort of, I don't know what it's like now, but I was sort of taught that you go to school, you go to college, do a couple of years in college, you want to get into university, it's really like a good thing to get into university, and then you go on and you have a really good career, and that's a sort of life journey you want to go on, and I just never really connected with it. It just never happened for me, and I know a lot of people are in the same boat where they just can't really get interested in that sort of route of life. So when I failed my 2 college courses, me and my current business partner now, Joel, we decided to just sort of pack up. I think we were 17 and 18 at this time. We just sort of decided to pack a suitcase, and we jetted off to Magaluf for a couple of seasons, and we went with like €1,000 and accommodation for a month. And in the first month we sort of had like a bit of a party and just like that
enjoyed
it, yeah. And then when we ran out of money, we were like, right, what are we going to do now? We've got like a week left on our accommodation. We've got like €50 going in. How are we going to stay out here for another 6 weeks or something? And that's when we started sort of like ticket selling, and we went out and we got a ticket selling job, just purely commission only. You work your own hours, you earn your own money, and that opened our eyes a lot to sort of the potential out there. From that point on, we were working like every hour of the day. We went from being like these 17, 18-year-old lads just partying non-stop to these 17, 18-year-old lads working more than, you know, like the 25, 26-year-olds out there. And we were getting up, we were going around pools. You know, it was a hard task to try and go up to like a stag do of blokes who are like 30 odd.
Boisterous or whatever,
yeah. It was like these 17 and 18-year-old kids coming over trying to get like €50 each off each of them to try and get them on a boat party or something. But we loved it, and people just like appreciate how young we were and what we were doing at our age. So we were on that journey, and we ended up earning good money from that season. And then we got home and we were like, right, we need to do that again. Like if we done that all summer, how much money could we make? And we went back and we decided to go one step further. So we just saw an opportunity. Like we started putting job ads up around Magaluf, just posters. Went to the local internet cafe, got some posters printed off, got a little cheap phone from the shop, and started dotting them about Magaluf, saying like ticket selling jobs available. And we were just ticket sellers ourselves, but we were earning €10 commission per ticket we sold. So we thought, right, we'll give people under us €5 commission, and we'll earn the other €5. And then like fast forward a few weeks, we had a team of about 15 ticket sellers that were meeting us daily. We were like still 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and there was like people like nearly twice our age coming to our daily meetings. We were saying, right, this is how you want to approach someone. This is the hotel to target. You go to this pool, you go to this beach, and then we just set them off, and like we were earning for not doing anything, and it was just crazy. Like that journey we went on, like 100% changed the way we sort of thought about earning money, and we got back from Magaluf after that year, and then decided to just sort of crack on with business. That was our like stepping stone to just get into the business world.
I mean, most people would class getting into business as terrifying and scary. Yeah. Most people would say working 9 to 5, it's a safe option and stuff like that. What was kind of the risk management in your head, and what did your parents, what did your friends think when you said, right, I'm going to go into a business? Yeah,
well, I always get the sort of same answer. If you discuss your ideas with someone, you probably get met, you know, especially if it's family and friends, close friends who care about you. They want the best for you, and at the end of the day, you are taking a little bit of a risk. So they're always going to come back with you and say, oh, what if it fails? Oh, I don't know if you're going to be right on this one. And you're always going to get them answers, but I've learned to just go with my gut. Like you're always going to get them people who don't see the vision you see, and it's important you just like put that to the back of your mind. Just focus on the positives. So there's always a risk with it. It's about minimising that risk, and you know, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you want to start a side hustle, I certainly wouldn't recommend just quitting your 9 to 5 and putting all your life savings into something. Just like gradually build up to it. Like in this day and age, it's so easy to start a business. You don't need to worry about, you know, starting a limited company or taxes or anything like that. You start a social media page, you know, and it's free to follow someone, it's free to message someone, you know, it's free to build a little design on Canva or something. Get your word out there. If you're offering a service or a product, just start seeing if there's interest there, and limit that risk, because if you just go in head first, that's when the potential is bad.
Yeah. Would you say then in that case that the fear of not trying something, the fear of I've always wanted to do it but I'm not going to do it sort of thing, outweighs failing a few times then?
100%, yeah. The biggest risk you can take, in my opinion, is not taking a risk at all. Like I said, you learn from your mistakes. As long as you can change your mindset to sort of focus on learning from the mistakes instead of dwelling on the mistakes, then you set yourself up for like success, really.
Yeah, so in terms of, if we'll go to Snuggy then, so how much planning goes into that before you actually, right, we're launching? Is it a case of you just shoot and see what happens, or is there a lot of planning beforehand for you?
I think one of the common misconceptions about starting a business, for people that aren't experienced with business, is like, oh, I haven't got a business plan, I don't even know how to do a business plan. And one of the things I like to bat straight back to them is I've never done a business plan in my life. Like I've never ever made a business plan. I've never even opened a business plan document, and I just prefer to get out there and get started.
Get it done. Yeah.
Just wing it, like learn on the job. It's experience over everything for me, and with Snuggy, we've got experience from the past 10 years or so. So we sort of knew what we were going to do. We were going to sort of push it through influencers and celebrities, and social media was going to be a big thing. So we sort of knew how we were going to get it off the ground, and we had a little bit of savings. We probably took more of a risk than I would recommend doing on your first punt, but we sort of had the confidence to just sort of go with it, and it all made sense for us.
Yeah. What was, in terms of maybe not necessarily Snuggy, but anyone, what sort of the biggest business challenge that you've kind of faced?
Cash flow's king. Especially when you're getting the company off the ground, you might invest a little bit of savings into it, but it's making sure you're turning that cash that you've invested into profit and then reinvesting into the company. We've never taken any money out of Snuggy. I strongly believe, people have got this idea in their head that you start a business, you earn really good money and you just start taking money out of the business. If you really want a brand to succeed in the early days, you need to be keeping that money in there and just reinvesting back into the company, into more stock, into processes, it might be new premises or into new technologies and things like that. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend doing, is just reinvesting money back into the company and focus on growing the brand. The rewards will come at the end when you deserve it, not at the early stages when you've just done what everyone else can do. Yeah,
sound advice. So I'd imagine anyone in business has probably had days where especially early on, where they just think, nah, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to sack it off. Have you had days like that?
Yeah. Still get them days now where you just sort of question everything, like, why am I even doing this? Like, is it worth it? Everyone gets them days. I think even the more successful, like multi-millionaires will still get the same days, but it's all like conditioning and just like trying to work your mindset into sort of battling them little demons in your head. I'm quite fortunate. I've sort of structured my mindset in a way where if I'm getting them little thoughts in my head, I'll remember why I'm doing it, and like what the sort of rewards are, what I want to be doing in 20 years time, where I want to retire, what I want to be doing for my family, things like that. So these are all sort of things that you just need to like cement into your brain, so you never forget why you're doing anything.
Perfect advice for anyone who's kind of going through days like that. Then that's perfect. So last sort of question about yourself, if you want. So what's a 24 hours in the day, midweek life like?
So it's sort of day. So if we take today, for example, my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. I'll have a coffee in bed. I've got a new coffee alarm clock that I'm quite happy with. So it brews my coffee when the alarm goes off. So within 5 minutes of my alarm going off, my coffee's brewed, so I just need to get out of bed, pick it up.
Caffeine boost.
Yeah, the first thing I do is just get a coffee in the morning. I'll spend 15 minutes just checking my emails. I won't answer any because I like to wake up a little bit before I answer any, but just check what's there, check the social media accounts and things like that.
Is that just give your brain a chance to digest, so you know kind of what's coming a little bit?
Yeah,
then?
Exactly. Yeah. So I get to the gym for 6 a.m. and then while I'm at the gym, if I'm doing cardio or something, I'll always have them things in the back of my mind, like I'll know who's emailed, what I'm sort of prepared for when I get back in the office. So I'll go to the gym for 6 a.m. and train for an hour and 15. I'll have my breakfast at the gym and I go home, get changed, have a quick shower. I'll get to the office for 9 a.m. and then I'll crack on with my day. So I'll answer all my emails, might have some calls booked in, some meetings, speak to the accountants or anything like that. I need to pop over at the warehouse, do stock figures or something, and then I'll usually get home for about 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm a big cooker, so I like to cook some food for Jodie, getting in, my partner, about 6 o'clock, and then I'll just put my feet up and chill out. I think.
Can you switch off? A lot of people say when they're in business there's lots of tabs open if you want to use that.
Yeah, well, that's why I like cooking so much, because cooking's just one thing that really, after my busy work day, I'll get home and I'll cook, and it blocks everything out. Like, I really focus on what I'm doing when I'm in the kitchen. It's weird, but I love it that much that it's one thing that just completely switches everything off my brain, and I just focus on getting the dish right and cooking everything right. And then I'll just put my feet up and relax for the rest of the night and walk my dog and then go to bed. I like to get in bed for about 10, half 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and then how much do you sleep with that then? Just working that out. So it's a solid 8-ish hours, 7, 8 hours.
About 6.
6 hours.
6 does me. Yeah. I might flag during the day a little bit, but it's nothing a strong cappuccino won't sort out.
Yeah, perfect. Right, and then next then, so you applied for Dragon's Den. So at what point was the business in the journey when you decided to apply for Dragon's Den?
Well, this is the thing. We thought, when you start a business, you get to a certain point where you think, right, I might need some help taking it to the next level, or I might need some extra money. And then there's always that idea that you're just like, I'd love to go on Dragon's Den. Which business, entrepreneur doesn't want to get on Dragon's Den?
The exposure alone, yeah.
Yeah, stand in front of the dragons and link up with them people who you inspire to be like. So we applied for it. I think we were about 18 months, 2 years into the business. And to be totally honest, we didn't need the money. That wasn't the thing we wanted. We wanted that backing from a dragon, the experience, someone who's been there, been on the block and sort of knows how we can get to where we want to be without making all the mistakes we've got coming. So that was the only reason we were going on, and we got through the first stage, which is just the online application bit, and then one of the producers rings you for like an hour phone call. They just want to sort of speak about what you spoke about in your online application, see if it all matches up, and see if you can sort of speak about it in detail and see if you know your stuff really. Before it then gets passed on to the exec producers, where they say, all right, we're interested, can you come in and do this in person? And that's the point where we thought, right, this is getting serious now. We've got a chance of getting on there. Is it what we want to do, or are we just doing this for the sake of it? And we made the decision to sort of put it on the back burner, and you always stay on the records of the producers, so if we wanted to sort of relight that candle, then we could do, but we decided against it at that point. Yeah.
So when you decided to say no to that, where was the business? How many staff did you have? What premises were you in? And where are you kind of now, if we did a screenshot of where you're at the minute?
When we applied, it was just me, Joel and John, so the 3 founders of the company. We were still sort of running it solo with a few external freelancers helping with the marketing and the SEO and things like that. So it was a very small knit team, and we were operating out of a much smaller office. Really, if people see what we were working out of, it's just crazy to look back on. But there was really a really small knit team, and obviously we decided to go against it and sort of plough on as we were, learn for ourselves. And now last year we moved into our big 3,000 square foot office. We took a new office on 10 minutes down the road for some more office space. Our warehouse is jam-packed full of stock, picks and packs orders every day. We've took on, I think, 3 more staff internally, and we've got 6 or 7 people externally that we work on a freelancer basis, just purely because we haven't got the office space to bring them in-house, but it's like a team of 15 now, and we're growing quite quickly. So in hindsight, it was a great decision turning it down, because we've achieved some great things since then. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets of turning it down as well?
I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, the experience would have been unbelievable, and it's like a once in a lifetime thing. But I genuinely don't regret it. We would have gave away a chunk of our equity if we were successful. And we own 100% of the company still, and we've done some great things since then. So it's, don't get me wrong, if we got a dragon on board, we'd probably be in a much better position than we are now, but we're learning along the way. We're making these mistakes for ourselves and we're learning from them, so I don't regret anything now.
Perfect. I mean, one of the things that you're involved with is you do, and you've alluded to it before, is influencer marketing. So you've worked with the Geordie Shore lot.
Yes.
All businesses rather might not necessarily know about influencer marketing. Yeah. So what is it, and why have you done that, and how was it working with the Geordie Shore lot?
Yeah, so the power of social media in this day and age is crazy. You know, these people with even anything from like 2,000 or 3,000 followers up to 30 million followers. These people have got a huge influence on their fans and people who like the content they post. And it's only really came about over the past 5-10 years, I think, where it's really got into sort of the mainstream marketing, and it's became one of the main methods people use. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can either gift someone a product, so usually the micro influencers, the ones with lesser followers and just starting out, they'll give you a piece of content for a free product. And then you've got obviously the celebrities and the sort of
established ones.
The established ones where they might have a manager who, you might need to pay a few £100 or even a few £1,000 to just get a social media post off them, because that post has got such a big reach that it instantly hits hundreds of thousands of people. And a lot of these celebrities have their fans trust their opinion, and a lot of them won't work with brands that are really poor, or they might be poor quality, or they might not have good a good ethical background. So their fans trust who they promote, and there's a lot of value in that for a brand. Like, you can pay someone maybe £1,000 to post on their social media and talk about some selling points about your product, and it might generate you 10 or 15,000 in sales. So there's obviously a lot of marketing channels out there, but influencer marketing for our target audience was our backbone to start with.
Yeah, and obviously everyone's target audience is going to be different depending on what they're selling and everything like that. If someone was starting out, how would you rate influencer marketing? Obviously it's going to differ depending on different businesses, but is that your main source that you would kind of use?
Yeah, when we started, we knew our target audience was going to be like the 18 to 34 female. We knew our product would be perfect for that sort of demographic. So then we instantly thought, right, how can we hit them on social media aside from Facebook marketing and Google ads and stuff like that? And we just thought, like, reality stars, everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people in the 18 to 34 female category watch reality TV.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's connect with a few reality stars, get our products in their hands and see what happens, and it just worked perfectly for us. In the first year we were absolutely flying with influencer marketing and celebrities, and I've had brands in the past where we've sort of used celebrity and influencer marketing and they've not connected with the product, or it's not really been appreciated. But the good thing about Snuggy is everyone who we've worked with, like, they genuinely love the product, so it's a lot more genuine. People on social media aren't stupid these days. They know whether someone's being paid for something or not. But it's about you connecting with them, and, like, are you reading off a screen and just saying whatever the brand wants you to say, or do you genuinely like this product? And that's been the great thing about what we've launched, is everyone just genuinely likes what we do and the product we bring out. So it's a lot natural. We don't really give a spiel to anyone to say, like, we can just say, all right, we want to work with you. They want to work with us. Here's the product. You can do whatever you want with it. They're the terms. Just, like, say whatever you want, and it works. It's a lot more natural that way. So that's been one of the massive benefits of Snuggy, really. Yeah,
and that's massively outweighed Facebook advertising, all these other different routes.
In the early days, I don't think for the first 6 months we even used Facebook advertising, which is crazy to think, but we were just purely influencers, like building up the social media accounts and working with celebrities and stuff. And I can't lie, it has sort of, influencer marketing took a little bit of it's calmed down a little bit. There's certain influencers out there and celebrities that are still absolutely killing it with it, but there's some celebrities out there that will just absolutely promote anything, and that's when the sort of
dilutes it.
Yeah, the trust and the loyalty from their followers dies down a little bit, so you can't consistently use them and keep going with them because it won't work out for you.
Yeah. In terms of products, for anyone who hasn't seen the brand or whatever, what do you guys offer at the moment, and what are your plans to offer if there's any other offerings in the future as well?
One of the main things when we started Snuggy was we were trying to figure out where obviously we had our sweet spot of our target audience, which was the 18 to 34 female, but we were sat down and we were thinking, right, there isn't anyone on this planet who can't enjoy Snuggy. So our target audience is literally everyone, which can be a positive and a negative in some ways, because you struggle to find your other sweet spot. And when you're using like Facebook ads and your other forms of marketing, it's hard to hit them properly. So we were sort of toying with where to target and what we can bring out to sort of influence people to buy. And we obviously started with 3 products on the website. It was just the Snuggy, which is our trademark famous hooded blanket. And now I think we've got over 100 products on the website now. So we've sort of just played on the idea of being in like the loungewear, the fun, cosy, homewares, anything that's in our lane. We'll sort of try and put our own spin on it and make it better, and you know, put our brand's name really on it.
Yeah.
There's some products on our website that have been absolutely like massive for us. Like I go back to saying our product's target audience is anyone, and that means like, you know, your grandma and your granddad can wear it, kids can wear it. We brought out baby Snuggies, so like a newborn baby can wear it. And then we brought out dog Snuggies, so there isn't anyone in your household that can't get Snuggy, and that was the main goal for us. There's
something for everyone.
Yeah.
Perfect. In terms of plans for the future then, what sort of plans do you have for the business? You've been going 3 years, is that right? Yeah.
Just turned 3 a couple of months ago, so we're still quite young, we're still babies in the industry really, and we've got a lot to learn and a lot to grow from, but I think like, without blowing our own trumpets, we've created an unbelievable brand, and you know, we set our ambitions really high, and we want to see a bit of Snuggy in everyone's home. At the minute, we're fairly established in the UK, but we want to tackle Europe. You know, before Brexit, we sold a lot in Europe. We want to tackle Europe. We want to get into Japan. We want to get into America. We want to tackle these new geographies and have Snuggy as a global household name. Everyone knows what Snuggy is. If you want a cosy night in, you want to get cozy for winter, and you want to treat your dog to something, or you want to get a gift for your friend's newborn baby, Snuggy's the place to go. So we want a bit of Snuggy in everyone's house.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're 3 years old, so you either have hit the best 3 years or the worst 3 years, because there's so much happened in this last 3 years. It's been unbelievable. We've had the pandemic, we've had the cost of living crisis, and we've had Brexit, all with such a tiny bit of time. How, if we break them down individually, so that the pandemic, first of all, everyone's locked in, people are ordering a lot more online. Did you guys see any impact for that?
Yeah, definitely. We weren't 100% sure. I think it goes without saying, no one could prepare for anything like that, and we didn't know what to expect. But I think we're probably one of the only businesses that's it's sort of helped in a way, and we've seen a positive impact from it. Obviously, no one was going out during lockdowns. Everyone was staying indoors. A lot of people were on furlough. So they were still earning money, and people were just buying loungewear. I think loungewear sales spiked by about 50%.
Was that in both? Because obviously there was 2 lockdowns. So we had the first lockdown, that was in the summer, everyone was going out, and then the second one was the horrendous winter one.
Yeah, exactly. So even like we started November 2019. We had a really good Black Friday, a really good Christmas, and even January and February were great for us. And then in March of 2020, we were sort of expecting sales to start dip a little bit, because we were predominantly like a winter product.
Yeah.
So we were thinking, right, sales are going to start dropping a little bit. What are we going to do next? And then that was when the first lockdown got announced. So as soon as that got announced and people weren't going to work, people were just sitting at home, and they didn't really have anything to spend the money on. Our sales started spiking, and we were like, what's happening here? We weren't expecting this. So straight away we were like trying to capitalise on the situation. We weren't trying to take advantage of the situation, but we had a good opportunity to sort of make more money in what we were thinking was going to be our quiet period. So we brought out new products and sort of snowballed a little bit on the back of that. It's not something we like to brag about at all, because there's businesses on the other side of that coin where they didn't make it through, and it was really tricky for them. But You know, we got a little bit lucky in that respect that we managed to sort of get out there on the other side and land on our feet a little bit better.
I definitely wouldn't say take advantage. I think in business, things are going to come up, challenges are going to come up, things that you never expected. You've got to be reactionary to that. You've got to be fluid or whatever. So if your business was seasonal, like you're suggesting that it was, what would have been the plan for a seasonal business like yourself in a quiet period if that hadn't have happened? How does a seasonal business adjust?
Yeah, we were looking at different things. We still have this problem to this day, to be honest. A lot of our products are enjoyed more in winter. Even though people do use them all year round, it's harder to market them and tell that story to the customer who doesn't really trust us that much. Obviously our existing customers know what the deal is, and it's about retaining them customers and getting them to come back for more. But there's different angles that you can sort of look at advertising your products. Like we started hitting the camping sector, so in spring, summer, when people start planning camping trips and staycations and things like that, we knew that our products would work well there. Even though it's not really what people would think about, we needed to tell that story to the customer and try and get them excited about that side of the brand. And then obviously you've got the other side where you can bring in new products to sell all year round, which we've brought in some great products and that do that for us. They tick that box for us. So yeah, it's one of the ways of getting around it, really. Yeah,
just in terms of the pandemic, while we're on that then, so what did that do in terms of disruptiveness to your business? Because is it a case of you've got a warehouse, people weren't allowed to go to work in certain industries? How exactly did that impact you?
Yeah, we've, like I said, the pandemic sort of helped us in the respect of earning us more money. But of course we had the supply chain challenges. Getting stock into the country was a lot harder than it was before. It was a lot more expensive than it was before. And while our demand for the products was going up, we were faced with this challenge of getting the products in. So there was times where we weren't able to meet the demands of our customers, and that's painful in itself. Like, you've got people wanting to sort of order your product and you can't fulfill their orders is like a young brand's worst nightmare. But
how did you adapt to that then in particular? Because there's the Gymshark. They exactly said Black Friday, as soon as supply and demand doesn't meet, it's a massive issue, like you've just said. How do you adjust for that then?
Because you've got to sort of forecast and sort of make an educated decision on, look at stats, look at figures, look at trends, and on how well you think you're going to do, which is a little bit hard because we've never had a pandemic before. Well, so you don't know what to expect. But the thing you don't want to do is order. I think, oh bloody hell, we're flying at the minute. Like, let's order 10,000 of these, and then the stock arrives, and a month later the demand dips off, and now you're sat with 9,000 products that you might struggle to sell, and all your cash is tied up in stock, which isn't the ideal. And it's one of the mistakes we made early on, and one of them that we are learning from. So it's that's what you don't want to do. But again, how can you plan for a pandemic? It's
the impossible task, yeah. No one could. The other one then, Brexit, one of the other ones, Brexit. How did that impact you?
Yeah, Brexit's been tricky for us. So pre-Brexit, we sold a lot in Europe, and it was as simple as someone from Spain might go on our website, place an order, and we can ship it to them fairly cheaply, and a seamless process where the customer just gets it in a couple of days. Now, I'd probably say about 10% of our online sales was in Europe, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you break it down, it's quite a large chunk of our revenue. But now it's probably down to less than 1%.
Do you put a lot of that down to Brexit?
100%. Yeah, Brexit just threw a big spanner in the works. Like, people used to go on the website, order, get the goods in a day's time, 2 days' time to Europe. Whereas now the order, it's probably cost them treble what it would before Brexit. You've got to fill in paperwork, you might have customs fees on the other side. It's just a much more unattractive sale to do, and it doesn't provide that service you want to, like, the amount of good reviews we got before Brexit from people in Europe, and now it just doesn't happen. People get billed with customs fees, and the only solution to it is setting up in Europe and maybe having a 3PL in Europe, which is a heavy investment for a small business. So you've got to sort of work out when that time is right for you.
Yeah, and then the third one, the cost of living crisis, which many would argue we're possibly still in at the point of recording.
Yes.
In terms of your supply chain, what sort of impact does that have? Have your costs gone sky high? Has it caused loads of issues? And has there been any positives from it as well? You managed to do all right in the pandemic somehow. Has there been any positives at all in the cost of living for you?
Yeah, it's a similar sort of situation. Like, we don't want to sort of brag about it or anything, but the cost of living crisis has somehow helped us in a way. Like, we seem to find a way of landing our feet in these situations. And there's a quote I always go off, and it's upstairs in my office behind my desk. It's, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And somehow we've just landed on our feet with these things. The cost of living crisis is, of course, everyone's conscious about the money, the heating bills, the energy bills, and people were looking for alternative ways to heat the home and stay warm. And of course, the Snuggy is
perfect fit.
It's a perfect fit for it. So we've done quite a few things. Like I said, we don't like to take advantage of these situations. So we were giving back quite a lot, and we put one of our Snuggies at a really cost price. We weren't making a penny on it. We were actually losing money after the delivery charge. But we sort of put that out there we limited it to one per person and said, like, try this product. We're not making a penny off it. Try it. See if it's good for you. See if it can save you money on your energy bills. If it does, then great. Go and try some of our other products.
That's a very interesting tactic and a very unbusiness, like, it's very unique. Why did you offer that when really a lot of businesses would cash in at something like that?
Yeah, because we can, like, yes, we can just sort of capitalise on it and make money from the whole thing, but we want people to come back to us, we want people to trust us. Like, we're a brand people can trust. Like, us as founders, we're going through the same problems as everyone else. Like, we're conscious about putting our heating on, so we're just fortunate to be in enough of a position where we can help. Yeah. And I think since we started the company, we've been quite humble in our roots, and we always like to give back. Like, you know, during lockdowns, when people couldn't go and see the grandmas in care homes, we would donate Snuggies and we would donate cash and stuff to sort of help, you know, give people a bit of comfort. Even though it's random, like, but we're in a position where we can help, so we will.
Yeah, random acts of kindness. Perfect. Yeah. So part of that then, maybe not so much with the care homes, which that would have been different, but given the amount of cost price, that would have probably been to have brand loyalty. Did you feel that you got a positive result for doing that?
100%. Yeah. I think since the cost of living crisis, our return customer rates grew by about 60%, which is like an insane increase. And I think partly because of these things that we were doing, like offering them at really stupid prices, and, you know, people knew we weren't lying when we were saying we weren't making money because they were that cheap. But it gave people, one, the trust that they can trust us as a brand, and two, it let them experience the product themselves. So, you know, once they experience the product, they think, all right, I would pay full price for this because I love the quality. It's just like, it's changed my life. It's as crazy as like loungewear sounds, but like, it's a crazy world we're living in right now. Our products, we genuinely do save you money. We did a little study at the start of the cost of living crisis. I think it was just after the first price cap increase, and we worked out by wearing your Snuggie for 3 hours a day instead of putting heating on, it can save you over £400 a year in your heating bills, which is like, it's an investment. Like, it's a crazy world we're living in where Snuggie is an investment, but it is.
Did the cost of living crisis as well have a negative impact on the supply chain? Did it make postage any more expensive? Any costs that you've got running offices and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, as of recent, obviously the Royal Mail strikes have threw a huge span in the works. I don't know whether that's, you know, particularly linked to the cost of living crisis in any way, but everything's had a knock-on effect, and it stems right down. It's like a domino effect right down the company, and it's like ends up hitting our staff and like the way we operate and things like that. So there's been an accumulation of different things that have sort of totted up to have an effect on the way we can run the business. But the main thing for us is that we mask that and make sure that our customers don't see anything like that. Since day one, we've put our customers at the forefront of our business, and as long as they're happy, we're happy. You know, we would be nothing without our customers, and it's about protecting them and what they think of us, and you know, giving that trust to them, even if it's at the sacrifice of our profits or the way we run the business or our you know, our personal lives. As long as the customers are happy, they'll come back and we'll succeed.
Yeah, it's a great message to other businesses to be more customer orientated like that. So just to go back, so we're doing this series to kind of get a bit more what your advice would be. So you've been in business a while now.
Yeah.
If you were to be reborn and had to start from day one again, what would be your advice to your younger self?
Main thing, one thing I was conscious about when I was starting out and taking these risks is probably what we spoke about earlier. It's you're going to have that negative feedback. Everyone's got a business idea. I think I speak on behalf of everyone when some point in their life they'll come up with a little idea and like, oh, I could make a little bit of money here, or this idea might do well. Ideas aren't hard to come by. What's the hard part is executing them and having the balls to go out there and do it. Despite what everyone says, despite what your parents say, or despite what your close friends say, or it's not a good idea. No one's gonna want to do that. Just go out and do it and try, and ask questions. One thing people always say when they meet me is, why do I ask so many questions? Like, could be like the most randomest things. Like, even like when you were setting your cameras up, I was thinking, should I ask you a question about your camera? Because I was curious about what was going to go on, like where you're getting from, why you're doing this, why you're doing that. I'm very like I like to learn. It
gives you a holistic understanding of
exactly.
Why things do the way they do. Yeah.
Even if they're like absolutely no relevance to me, I like to learn, and it's just I like to ask questions and figure out what's going on. So one thing I definitely recommend is just don't be afraid to ask questions and sort of go with your gut.
And then this one, I'm not looking maybe for anything too specific in terms of invasive in the business, but what would you do differently? Did you spend too much money on advertising? Is there a mistake that you made that you thought with hindsight, yeah, we'll definitely avoid that completely? What would you do differently?
Yeah, well, in the early days of the business, I spent a lot of time speaking to my customers, the very first customers. Like, you know, I'd often be like, it'd be about 10 p.m. at night in bed, and I'd be sat WhatsApping customers, and obviously the ones that welcomed it, and I was listening to them and I was saying like, what would you like to see from the brand? What do you think about this product? What do you think if we added, what do you think if we made the pocket bigger? Or is it too thick? Is it too warm? And we were just asking, I was asking them questions like in bed on WhatsApp, and I was just, they really sort of, my customers, the early customers, steered the way we took the brand. And I think that's been one of the key things in why people keep coming back to us. You know, put yourself in the customer's shoes, what do they want to see, and even better, speak to the customers themselves and what do they want to do. That's been one of the main things that sort of allowed us to sort of grow as we have done.
Yeah, you might have already answered this maybe in two different directions as well, but for people who are thinking of starting a business, what would be your advice? Obviously you mentioned just jump and just do it and stuff like that. Would it be listening to customers and having that your focus, or would it be another bit of advice that you would give to someone who's literally just started out day one in their business?
Yeah, I think one of the positive things you can do is, it depends whether you're offering a service or a product or something like that, you start local. Local's always a good place to start. You know, social media is extremely powerful. You know, there's on Facebook, there's all sorts of groups locally that you can just post in, and even if you get interest from one person, word of mouth is an extremely powerful thing, and that one person might tell, you know, the cousin, the sister, or something like that. So start local and just take a punt. Don't be afraid of what people might think. You know, everyone's conscious to get them ideas and think, all right, I'm going to give this a go. And then when they come to posting about it, or they think, what if this just gets zero engagement, and both people think, oh my God, have you seen what he's doing? Don't think about that.
Just ignore the negativity.
Yeah, it's the demons in your mind. Mm-hmm. You know, once you try it, and if you succeed, them demons will quickly go away, and people will think, right, he's fair play with him, he's had the balls to start something up and give it a go. And I always encourage, whenever I see any of my friends, even if I don't know them, if I see someone having enough courage to sort of go out there and start something, I'll give them a moral like, I'll give them a support, I might place an order, I'll do anything to support them, because in the early days, it goes a long way.
It's the hardest possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to cover as well while we're here, or anything that we haven't mentioned that you thought, oh, that would be like...
I don't know, we've got quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, we've got quite a good understanding about the whole business thing.
I suppose one thing, we could cover. I should have mentioned this earlier, actually. It was in the start of the pandemic. It was one of the biggest hurdles we had to come across, and it sort of links with having to think outside the box and sort of survive as a business owner. We placed, it was after our first year of like a really good winter period, we placed our biggest order ever. We filled a container, and at this time in our company we spent about 90% of our available cash on this container, and just thought, right, we've smashed it this winter. That's a massive order.
So was that a huge risk then for you guys at that time?
We didn't know it was, but we just thought, right, we'll place the order. We've got loads of stock. The product's flying at the minute. People want it. We know it's going to sell. So let's just place a massive order and spend like 90% of our available cash on this order. And we done it, and then it was like container. I think it was over £500,000 worth of Snuggies. Filled the container up, and it got stuck. I don't know if you remember the Suez Canal story with the Ever Given ship that got wedged up in the Suez Canal. Our stock was on that ship. So we placed this massive order, paid for it in full. We were like, we were buzzing. We were so excited to get all of the stock, and it was on the water, and we were like, yeah, it's going to get here in 2 weeks, perfect. We already started planning how we were going to sell it and market it, and it got stuck, and then we didn't get that stock for about 6 months. Obviously, we paid for it in full. Our cash flow was low. We didn't have cash in the bank to sort of survive. We were relying on this stock to come in so we could start flipping it and generate some profit from it.
Did you have any pre-sales on that or anything? Did that cause a massive?
No,
No,
we didn't. We weren't putting pre-orders on it or anything. We were just sort of planning ahead, like it's going to generate us this amount of money over the summer period, and it obviously got stuck. And this is probably the closest our businesses came to collapsing. We got to a stage where we had very little in the bank. Our overheads weren't stopping. The bills don't stop. They keep rolling. We had wages to pay. We had very little stock because we were relying on all of this to arrive. So we couldn't really sell anything.
And 6 months is not a little bit of time; it's a long period.
6 months is a long time to sort of survive for. So we got to the stage where we were at, like, I think we had about 15 grand in the bank or something, which might sound a lot, but
when you've got outgoings,
we've got wages to pay every month, we've got outgoings, we've got rent to pay, loads of different things coming out of the bank, and that would have lasted us a month, and we were like, right, we need to take a punt here on how are we going to survive this summer, because we didn't know how long that stock was going to sit there for.
Yeah. Were you given any assurances or whatever from the provider?
I was going on Twitter and refreshing Twitter to find out what was happening with it, because there was no one to speak to. Our suppliers knew as little as us, so it was a tricky situation. But one thing we just thought outside the box, like, we've got this amount of money, what can we buy that our customers will like, that will definitely sell in summer? And we settled on camping chairs, which is like completely out of our lane. It's sort of in our lane a little bit because we made them really comfy camping chairs, and that I think we placed an order of 1,000 of them. So
was this a risk then?
It's just like make or break. Like, if these camping chairs don't work out, if these don't sell, we're probably done for.
Would it have got to that? Because obviously you've got this stock, it's sitting there. It is going to come eventually, whether it's a month, a year, 2 years, whatever. Yeah. Would it have still gone bust even with that stock there?
It probably would have. The only way it would have been saved is if we might have had to give up 50% of the company to someone who's just going to come in and save us from going under and sort of give us enough money to take over until our stock does arrive. So it would have been a bad situation either way. Yeah. But these camping chairs are sort of make or break for us, and it's weird to say because it sort of saved us from going down really. But the camping chairs came. We changed them into we designed this chair, but it was like a hammock hanging Snuggy chair, and our customers loved them, and they started flying out the door. It became an Amazon bestseller, and we couldn't believe our luck. We were like, this is paid off, this, and then we ended up selling out of them just as our stock arrived, and we're like, bloody hell, let's get the champagne over. we've just jumped over that hurdle. I don't know how we've got over it, but we've got over that hurdle. And once we got past that, we were like, there's nothing that's going to take us down now, because we've got past that. And it's like we're pretty much unstoppable. So the bad times in the business sort of make you in the craft you're in this business that just tackles anything.
So as a business owner, you'll look at trends, you'll look at forecasts, you'll minimise risk as much as possible, as humanly possible. When you're taking a risk, which is it could destroy the company if we do this, is that what goes through your head? Is it kind of, no, we are going to do it, or is it, no, we shouldn't do this? How much of a gamble is it in your mind doing something like that?
Yeah, it's a massive gamble. We sat and we almost had arguments about it. There were like really heated debates on what we should take a punt with. Like, the funds are limited. We haven't got much time to sit and think about this.
Was it always a case of we need to take a punt? It wasn't a case of we'll not do anything or we'll do something else. It was always a case of we're going to buy products and risk.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
If we'd have sat and tried to hang on for 2 or 3 months, it would have went Pete Tom. We'd have been out of there. Like, it wouldn't have worked well for us. So we were like, right, we've got a little bit of capital here. We're not going to have any more money over the summer. We know that for sure if we just sit and hang tight. So let's just try and invest this now and flip it while we can, and see what happens. And that's what we've done, and it thankfully worked out well for us.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've obviously got business partners and stuff like that. How is that decision when maybe one of you want to take a massive gamble like that and someone else doesn't? What would be your advice on people who are in partnerships or limited companies with different voices? Yeah. How would you get around that? What would be your advice?
There's a common, I think people always think like you shouldn't get in business with your friends and stuff, and in some circumstances it might be the right thing to do, but
has there been any issues with that? You've been in business 3 years. 3 years is an awful long time in business.
No, there's been no issues. Like, me and Joel have been best friends since like we were doing football courses in school, like since we were about 7 or 8, and we've always had the sort of same interest, and we've been involved in businesses before Snuggy that just sort of like came and gone, and one of the good things about the structure we've got at the minute, there's me and Joel, and then there's John as well. So he's the sort of the referee in a way. Me and Joel often, like more often than not, we'll have heated debates about like why we think this and why we think that. And we don't shy away from them. It's good, but then we've always got John there to sort of, he's like the external view, so that he can see from both sides and make like more of an educated decision and sort of talk one of us around. So there's 3 of us, and it works out well because someone's always going to be outnumbered, and it's one of the best ways to do it, really.
Having that dynamic, is it a little bit like a football match where you see people arguing with their teammates, telling them to do that, or is it a case of I need to just not say anything here? Because it's an odd dynamic, especially if it's a friend as well. It
is, but you can't shy away from the opinions. Like even as stupid as they might sound, you've got to consider every outlook, and some things that I might have running through my mind, Joel might have running through his, and vice versa. So you've got to, as much as you don't agree with whatever your business partner might be saying, there's a reason they are saying it, and there's something in their mind telling them that. And at the end of the day, we're both like good business people, so every opinion you put out there has got to be considered.
Right, thank you very much for meeting with then. That's a huge breakdown in terms of the challenges that you have. Huge advice for any new entrepreneurs. This is the first in the series. If you do have any comments, if you do have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. Anyone else you'd like to see interviewed next, just let us know in the comments. Otherwise, for any products that we've mentioned today or any others, you can see at snuggy.com. We'll put a link below to check them out as well.